So we're back for another Rapido live event. It's been about a month since I guess we did the last one. We've got Matt Gentry, we've got Josh Anderchuk, Dan Darnell, and myself. Good evening, everyone. And just going to double check to make sure we are broadcasting properly, which I think we are. Oh, good. All right. So pretty much tonight we got lots to talk about. We've got a couple of order deadlines coming up on Monday. We're going to start with those, go through them really quickly. We've got the barrel ore car, and we've got the N-scale new look bus, and then we're going to jump right into our new announcements. We've got 3 HO scale new announcements this month. We've got the FPA 2U and FPB 2U, I said that right, yep. BNCN, and we have the all new Chevy Caprice wagons and sedans, also the Impalas, plus the what is it, the Auto Flood 3 rapid discharge hopper. That was Matt's project. Yay. So it'll be a fun evening. We're going to also be answering your questions here and there, talking about some incoming products, and do a whole Q&A session towards the end there. So why don't we get right into the order deadlines? We'll just go over that really quickly here. So give me 1 sec, I'll share that on the screen. We've got the barrel ore cars. I'll let Dan talk about that one for a couple minutes.
Yeah, well, I don't know if the video's up now, is it not?
Yeah, the video is live on both Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, so the guys can check it out there. And I do have one sample in the shop tonight still here. Yeah, like he says, the order deadline's what, next week?
Monday the 17th, yeah.
17th, yeah. So get your orders in for them. If you want to know of any of the details, you can watch the video. But again, they're just absolutely loaded with detail on the cars. And pick them up while you can. They're going to be gone.
Yeah, we're going to be going into production with those pretty quickly. So we'll probably see them towards the end of the year, early 2022, probably next winter. Just approximately.
Yeah, I was thinking probably around Christmas time, but maybe. Yeah, be nice if we get them here for Christmas.
Absolutely. And just to give a quick rundown, we do have both versions. You've got the long barrel and the short barrel cars.
Yep.
If you actually go to our website, you can link up to the YouTube video, but you can also get it on Facebook if you like to watch it there. We've got CN.
A few people questioning the color that we've used on the sample of the CN barrel ore cars. If you can bring up that photo we have,
sure.
We've done the as delivered color of the car, and in that photo there you can see it is a very vibrant mineral red color. The darker color people are referring to are actually like with 25 years of taconite dust built up on them, which makes them look like a lot darker looking.
Yeah,
we've left that up to the modeler to weather them.
Yeah, you can see how dirty they got. That one's not even on tracks. So.
No, that was down near the exhibition.
Yeah. But yeah, you can really see how the color changed over the years just with all that dirt and grime.
Yeah, it's amazing though how the white stayed clean.
Definitely. We'll just bring that web page back very quickly there, and then we'll talk about the buses. So like I was saying, we got CN, both the long and short barrel versions. Got the scale test car.
Yep.
Ontario Northland, the short barrel in the progressive scheme. ONR only had the short versions in the progressive. We have the long barrel Chevron scheme ONR cars coming too, and you can also get them in undeck. So that is the barrel ore cars. Again, May the 17th. That's this coming Monday is the deadline. So please visit your dealer or check us out online to pre-order them. And next, I guess we'll just jump over to the buses here. In 1 sec to bring that up. Well, that's the HO new look. We want the N scale though. Actually, while we're here, the talking about new looks, the HO new looks people are asking. They're actually, I think they're already in Canada. I believe they landed a couple days ago. We should be seeing those in maybe 2 weeks, arriving in the office, 10 days to 2 weeks. So that's not too far away.
Looking forward to seeing those.
Oh yeah.
Go transit.
Just load the website if it's working. Well, why don't we just have Josh talk about buses for a minute then, until our website seems to kick back into action.
Come back.
Yeah.
So, and actually, before this video, I was looking at the video that we just uploaded to YouTube on our N-scale bus, The Adventures of Jason Going Too Fast Down the Street. So if anyone wants to have a look at that after this, you just go to YouTube and our YouTube channel, and the video's there. It's not a long video, but you can definitely see some of the detail on the N-scale bus. It was hand painted by Dan Darnell.
Never again.
Yeah, never again.
Never again.
Let the factory take care of it next time.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But don't worry, Dan, it was only a 2-color job.
Where'd you learn to count?
Jason.
That was Jason's thing. It's
Jason.
just 2 colors, that's all you need to do, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
So I can't get our website to work, so let's just show some photos from the folder here. This is Dan's 2-color only paint job on the new look.
Yep.
In N-scale, of course.
So this is a Santa Monica new look based on some unknown movie that I'm sure many people are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see you can see some of the detail, and remember this is N-scale, so this photo is significantly blown up. But it's also got interior and even underbody detail. I don't know if you have one of those photos available, Jordan, or not.
I believe we do. Let me just see if I can.
I think I've still got the undecorated chassis here.
Yeah.
That's in the other folder. Let me just see if I can find that other folder here.
All right.
Take me a couple of seconds. Somewhere in here, or maybe not. There we go. Looks like I can actually go to the website now. So let me bring that up. Much better. So there's the N-scale new look, unpainted.
Yeah, so this shows a lot of the details a little bit better than the painted model. But you can see a lot of the underbody detail. Those are real rubber tires.
Mm-hmm.
The front and rear lights do work on the model, as well as the interior lights. You've also got, the stereotypical fluting, which was on these buses. We did not include rivets. We're not going that crazy with these. And also rivets in N-scale I don't think that's an art that anyone has mastered yet. Yeah, it's a lot of the same details that we have had on our HO scale new look bus for the last couple of years. Depending on the model, you'll get the AC unit on the rear of the bus, which is an optional part. The mirrors will come separate because they're very fragile. So you can install those if you wish once you receive your model. And yes, go down to some of the paint schemes.
Yep. Scroll down here.
So it was actually quite hard to pick some of the paint schemes for this run because we didn't know what kind of demand there would be for an N-scale bus, but we did include a lot of the major cities: Boston, Montreal, New York in 2 schemes, actually, Toronto as well in 2 schemes, Santa Monica for reasons everyone should know.
Mm-hmm.
And also we provided a bunch of generic painted buses for any cities that we didn't cover. And of course, this is just a first run. Depending on the success of this, we'll look into other cities in the future as well. One of the challenges with the N-scale bus too is decoration, because it is so small. So you're going to get a lot of these buses where there's some of the finer printing that it's not on the bus because it's not practical for us to actually make it in N-scale. You just end up with usually an illegible blob. We're actually now exceeding the limits of modeling in N-scale. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. We got full interiors too, of course. All the seats, we have the fare box in there too, don't we?
These have the standy bars in them as well, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Put them on the inside there. And of course, we have lights, so tail lights, headlights on all of these buses. All right, so that's pretty much the order deadline's coming up on Monday. So I guess we could jump right into the new stuff. Where should we start? FPA2s maybe? Let's do that. Just bring up the website here. Flip over to that one. All right, there we go. This is the first of our 3 new announcements today. This is the FPA2U and FPV2U locomotive sets. You have to be able to say it 3 times fast too. So, but these are actually a bit of a different, a little bit different than the FPA 4s. Can you tell us a little bit about it, Josh?
Yeah, so when CN originally bought their FPA 2s and FPB 2s, they had bought 6 AB sets. And what they did in the late 50s was they actually took 2 sets and rebuilt them with the 251 prime movers built by Alco for improved reliability, and actually as prototypes for what became the FPA 4 and FPB 4. The biggest tell between these locomotives and an FPA 4 is I believe it's the air intake on the side, on the body side. On these, it's a smaller version that's in line with just the grills at the back of the locomotive, whereas the FPA 4, it was enlarged.
Yeah, right on the side of the car body there.
Sorry, yeah. But these locomotives, they also got the larger fuel tank, which was carried over to the FPA 4, as well as other minor details, typically on the nose. Yeah, so it is a unique model. There were only 4 built, or two A's and 2 B's. And we are making this a conditional release. So if we reach the order minimums that we've established ourselves, then we'll go with it. If not, then unfortunately we won't.
Yeah. So make sure you do get those orders in. We don't have, do we have a preset order deadline yet, or we're just going to kind of play it by ear for a little while?
No, we've set a conditional deadline of September the 15th. So you'll have all summer to get your orders in. But if I'm not mistaken, then September 15th is a firm deadline. So that way, if we do go through with it, we're going to have factory time available to get them produced.
Absolutely.
And we won't have to wait.
Yeah.
So,
and yeah, they're a much needed addition. A lot of people have been asking for them. So make sure you do show your support and get the orders in.
Yep.
Again, there's all of the different versions. We've got DCC or DC silent versions, of course, in sets.
Yep. So these models are only going to be sold in AB sets. There are 3 paint schemes. You have your CN green, black, and gold passenger scheme, the CN stripes from 1961 onward, and the Via Rail scheme. All 4 locomotives ended up going into Via Rail service. 6758 actually still lives today at the New York and Lake Erie Railroad, which is where we actually recorded the sound file for it.
Mm-hmm.
One question, Josh, are the B
Sure.
units powered?
Yes, they are. Everything is powered.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, so go up the page, Jordan, to that CN photo. So that there, 6759, and one of the B units, I've never been able to figure out which number, that was actually the promotional train for the new CN 1961 branding. So for anyone who loves modeling CN, those were locomotives that introduced the branding to the world. So.
And they last in service for quite a while too. They got right through to the late 80s, up until 89, 90 when they were retired. So.
Yeah. So the A units, 6758 was retired at the end of the 80s. 6759, I believe, was retired earlier. I want to say 83 or 84. Mm-hmm. It was an early retiree. The B units all lasted into the late 80s, as far as I'm aware.
All right. Excellent. There's that nice, cool, clean photo of 6758 there. And yeah, they use them pretty much everywhere in the East. So Ontario, Quebec, throughout the Maritimes, they're pretty much a must. You'd even see them, not as often, but you'd see them out west once in a while, probably going to Winnipeg and stuff like that.
Yep. All
right. So that's the FPA 2Us. I guess next we'll talk about let's talk about Matt's hopper next. So let me bring that up on the screen. One sec here.
It hauls coal. What else you want to know?
It hauls coal. Place your orders.
No, they also haul. Now it escapes me. Goes down the CN on the Champagne sub.
Aggregates or something like that.
Yeah, it's. I'm not going to think of it. I'll be mid-sentence and then I'll blurt it out. But anyway,
someone will probably comment and figure it out.
Probably.
Most likely, yeah.
But no, this is the AutoFled 3 4,200 cubic foot aluminum rapid discharge coal hopper.
That's another name you have to say 3 times fast.
Yes, exactly. Tongue twisters for sure.
I thought that said Rapido discharge coal hopper.
Yeah.
No, I did that in a meeting. I accidentally called it the Rapido discharge coal hopper, which isn't incorrect, but still, it's the Rapido rapid discharge.
Yeah. So, no, this was, if people have watched live streams with me previously, I've sort of let it be known that I'm a little bit of a unit train dork, specifically with unit coal trains. And this was one of the projects that I just sort of threw out there on a whim, and it stuck. So here we are. I wanted to see another rapid discharge coal hopper on the market, a high quality one. And this seemed one of the more viable prototypes. And especially after digging into it and seeing all the road names and secondary and tertiary owners of them, it was a pretty cool project. Had some very good assistance from a couple of resources to make this car come to life, and really pretty happy with the way it came out. So the design is done. The tooling should begin at the end of the month.
Yeah, the renders.
Yep. So for
If
the,
you want to share the renders, I'll stop sharing for a second, and we'll go back to the paint schemes.
yeah,
While you're looking for that, I'd like to say this is our first modern 21st century freight car, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right.
yeah, I think so. I mean, sort of the closest one else would have been the cylindrical, right, Dan?
No, that's 20th century.
Well, but I mean,
60s,
In
60s.
time, yeah, it would have been.
yeah. So, but no, here we have 3D renders of it. And I mean, typical Rapido style, separately added parts. So all the details on the end cages for the brake rigging are separately applied wire airlines to your diverter valve. The others are molded though, like going down to your train line and then your rotary dump line. And not the rotary dump line, but the rapid discharge line. Separately applied grabs where applicable. And then up here, the crossover grab iron. Then of course, a couple
Hide
of
the
cut
coal
bar.
load. Yeah.
What's that?
Say hide the coal load and show them the interior.
Yep, got the full interior with the K members and the rivet detail on the inside of the walls. We've put this together very similar to the GLA hopper in that the sides are separate, and so we can mold all the rivet detail on both sides of the walls, so that instead of a 4-slide mold, and it has to have a way to release, and you can't have the rivet detail on the inside, we've done the sides as flat pieces so that all those rivet details can be there.
And to add weight, you made the whole floor and slope sheets metal, right?
Yep. So this whole piece right here that's highlighted in green, that is all zinc alloy die cast. And so this doesn't have the issues that a lot of the other rapid discharge coal hoppers on the market do, and that they're just so lightweight. This car is going to have good prototypical weight for it.
And we're including full coal loads with these, or are they going to be available separately?
The coal loads are being included with the car. Don't have to get them separate.
Very nice. And they just pop out too, just like kind of like what we're doing with the GLAs.
Right. Yep.
Nice. Beautiful.
So K members are going to come installed from the factory. Coal load will be included with the car at the factory. I mean, it's ready to go. So
and when are we starting tooling on this? Is that pretty soon, or is that already started?
Should start at the end of the month.
Very nice.
So the end of this month, end of May.
So we should see samples probably late in the summer, then probably mid to late summer.
I should think so.
Oh yeah, yeah.
July maybe. I mean, it's ambitious, and we'd have to check with the factory, but I would love to have some very early samples to take to the open house at Spring Creek in Deschler, Nebraska at the end of July. So just have to ask the tool shop and see what they can do for it.
Absolutely.
So, but then here's your A end that has the air reservoir and the mechanism, so the cylinder for the discharge bays to open on the prototype. The bays on the model do not open. So, yeah, I mean,
Has installed the wrong coupler on there, by the way.
oh yeah, coupler subject to revision. Of course, this is just what the design staff had on file and threw in the car. So coupler box will fit KD 58s. So Barber S2 trucks, all these parts on the bottom of the car, like these support brackets and such, those are all separately applied. The doors are separately applied. The reinforcement strips, those are all separately applied. The train line and reservoir discharge lines, those are all separately applied. So I mean, this is a very nice car. It's done up very well. Typical Rapido style work. So pretty excited to see this, and I hope that hope I've done it justice. So
Definitely.
Yeah. And while we're at that, maybe I'll bring the list of road names back up here.
yeah, because that's kind of the exciting part too. The road names, some of the road names that was going through whenever I was getting the artwork ready. Of course, you have to do BNSF, running everything out of the Powder River Basin, BNSF and Union Pacific, which the UP has the CMO reporting marks. But then in some of the files that I had, come to find out the double rotary cars. So the BNSF car that's on the top right is a double rotary car and that's noted by the color blocks on both ends of the car. And that's so if, they're putting a train together and they don't have all the cars in the same direction for the rotary dump, they can put one of these cars in there and it doesn't matter. At that point in the train, all the cars can rotate as needed. So pretty unique car. And so if, you're modeling a BNSF coal train, you need at least one of those. So pretty neat. And then whenever I was looking through the CEFX road numbers and I knew about this car, but I totally spaced on it whenever I was talking about this project, is the Indiana Railroad 2 millionth carload. I was looking through photos of the low 600,000 series, and whenever I hit that 600,480 and I saw that, I just sat back in the chair. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that car. So had to do that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'll be a popular one too.
So, and then Josh, whenever we were going through stuff, you actually pointed out a couple of the other road names, and so I had to do a quick action switch, and we ended up going with that GLFX below it, below the 2 millionth carload there on your screen, Jordan. And I like the color blocking that they used on those under the reporting marks, as there weren't that many that had that, and then especially with that light baby blue color for the rotary ends and such. So it was a pretty neat option to go with. And then we sort of just gone all over the country with some of these, because the PG and X cars, those ran over in North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. And then of course the PG and X cars down towards the bottom.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about these is you notice there's no color blocks on the ends, because these cars were not equipped with rotary couplers. So doing the research on those, the early series, which this is one of the early series cars, came with just the white reflector stripes down there at the bottom of the car. And then later, and I think about the 4000 series, they came with light yellow reflector stripes, and then halfway through the 5000 series, they switched to the dark yellow reflector stripe. So some neat variation to come on further PG and X cars whenever we get to them. So
And we'll be able to get multiple runs out of these. So this is just the first batch.
Definitely. And the neat thing again is there were more than just BNSF wedge scheme. They had an early production run of them had the older Circle Cross logo on them. So we'll be able to get those at a later date. So, but no, overall, I'm pretty excited about this. There's some locomotives coming out from other manufacturers that these cars go very well with, and I'm looking forward to placing my order to go with said locomotives. So
fantastic. And we do have lots of numbers too. So pretty much for every scheme, and this is typically what we do, is we'll have 12 different road numbers in a variety of 6-packs, all of which are able to be broken up, of course. Each car is individually barcoded and labeled for separate purchase. So you got 12 of each.
We've actually got 18 for some.
More than 18, yeah, because some of the road names we got extra ones. So
yeah, all road names I did 3 6-packs because this is one of the it's sort of a fine line to toe, but this is one of those times since it's a brand new car, I wanted to try doing 3 6-packs instead of 2, so that should somebody want a unit train, they can actually have a very decent sized unit train from the first production run if they get all 3 6-packs for whichever particular road.
nice.
So,
Now, do we have any plans to do rotary couplers for these at all, or what would someone do if they wanted to operate that manner?
it'd be a lot of modifications to actually make the couplers rotary. I mean, I think I've seen some people have modified the couplers. They've been able to separate the knuckle from the shank and make it rotate that way. But if you were to make like the actual coupler pocket rotate, that would take quite a bit of miniature engineering to do.
You tell Huang that.
yeah. Can you imagine that
problem.
email?
Cancel project.
Cancel project, make coffee cup.
Matt, you were trying to think of another commodity that these cars haul. Would it happen to be petroleum coke?
Yes, that's it.
All right. Thank you, AJ, for texting me that one.
Yeah,
Nice.
because ironically enough, and I couldn't think of it, but when the Canadian National EJ&E Heritage Unit went south on the Champagne sub on its first trip, it was hauling a coke train, and I managed to catch it over in Blueford, Illinois, I think, and it was pulling a combination of rapid discharge cars. A bunch of them were this prototype car within the train. So
Very nice.
but
All right.
yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
And I'm sure most modern modelers will too, especially for modeling the Midwest or pretty much any part of the States. They ran everywhere, or they run everywhere, I should say.
A friend of mine out in western Nebraska, because I've been down to Paducah, Kentucky a couple of times over the winter, just rail fanning, and down at the yard in Paducah, they have a bunch of the TVAX, Tennessee Valley Authority cars of this prototype, and it always has BNSF power. So I messaged my friend in Nebraska and said, hey, did these come from out there? Oh yeah, they're from the Powder River Basin, so these cars get everywhere.
Nice, fantastic.
So and that's the other thing. The CEFX road numbers that I selected for this all were in the lower number series, so that they could go with that Indiana Railroad 2 millionth carload car. But the higher numbers, which we will be doing at a later date, don't know what production run, those are actually mixed in with trains up there in Canada too. Josh found that out whenever I was looking for road numbers. So there'll be Canadian desire for some of these too.
Nice, fantastic. All right, so that's those two announcements. Actually, before I get into the next one, let me just talk about really quickly, because we always get this this question many times every day. A lot of people asking about our delivery schedules for everything. Just remember, this is our delivery schedule. It's on our website. We keep this updated pretty much every week with new stuff coming and going. So if you're interested in any products that are coming out, when something's shipping, what the status is, we always have that available on our website at any time. So you can see if we scroll down here, we've got various projects in production. There's all the N scale stuff there, North American vehicles. So it's all on our website. Right there. And oh, I think, did we update that yet? The HO buses. Yes, there we go. So people are asking about the HO new look buses. Those are actually in transit right now. They have, I believe, landed in Canada. So we should be seeing those in a week or two. So sit tight. We'll be promoting those. We'll be showing pictures, and we'll be doing a new video pretty soon on that. And meanwhile, we've also got the SW1200s. The first batch has just arrived here. So we should be seeing those probably sent out sometime.
They said to start shipping tomorrow.
Yeah, start shipping tomorrow. They should be hitting the stores probably in about early mid next week. Another person's asking about the H16. The project. There's a lot of people talking about how we're saying that we've been canceling that project. It has not been canceled. We're kind of temporarily on hold right now because the orders have actually been really, really disappointing. But we really want to get that model done. So continue to get your orders in if you're interested in the H1644, the Fairbanks Morse units. We're going to be looking at doing some new stuff with that project maybe in the future. So just stay tuned, and we'll have some news pretty soon, hopefully. But yeah, just a reminder, just check our delivery schedule. It's always available online in case you have any questions about when a product is coming. All right, so I guess at that point, get into our third announcement. And this is the one that I've been really pushing for the last little while now. I've been working on this for the last year. So something a little bit different for us. It's our first second vehicle if you include the bus, but our first car model. It's the Chevy Caprice and Impalas. This particular version is the 1980 through 1985 model years, if you want to get really specific about the grille designs and stuff like that. But overall, the body was largely the same from around 77 model year they were introduced. Slightly different details on those ones, but from 1980 through 1990, actually, they were pretty much the identical bodies, just with different grills and taillights. Very minor differences. But we've been working on this project for, I guess it's going on about a year now since we started working on this one. We've got both the sedans and the wagons, so that actually gives you both the Caprice and the Impala. So they just basically, they're different trim lines. So you have the lower trims for the Impalas, a lot of the fleet vehicles, police vehicles, taxis, government vehicles, whereas the Caprice was more of the civilian model. You have the wagons, you have the sedans. We've got several versions here. This is just the first release, of course. So we've got lots of different opportunities for different paint schemes, versions, trim lines, all kinds of things going forward. Actually, before I get into the paint schemes, let me see if I can pull up some photos here. Give me 1 sec. Right back with that. Where did I put those here? All right, there we go. Let me bring this up on the screen. So these are our first samples. These are early tooling samples. There are still a lot of kind of revisions and fix-ups to do. We've got a couple issues with the grill we're tidying up, and the windows still need to be polished and refit. But this is actually what we're looking at right now is the Impala Taxi, HO scale, of course. Got the Chevy grill with the bow tie in the center there. We've actually tooled a taxi sign on the roof. Scroll through these. There's a look at the front end of the grill. We've got separately applied headlights, separately applied side mirrors. We've got multiple styles of wheels. So for the Impalas, we've got the dog dish wheels. That was very common for kind of lower trim line cars, a lot of fleet vehicles, police cars, taxis, fire vehicles, stuff like that. Look at the roof. Got full underbody detailing. These are real rubber tires. We've got all the tread. Again, depending on the trim line, we're gonna have white walls or just standard black tires. Look at the underbody. Past the taxi here. So there, this is actually, you can see the differences here. This is the Caprice Classic sedan. So we've got a different grille design, just the sedan version. We're going to be doing, we've got actually a different hubcap style. So you can see where we've got the dog dish wheel on the Caprice sedan, estate sedan. We're going to have the kind of a metal wheel cover. We've got multiple other wheel variations as well we've done. So that's the sedan. The police cars, this is the Impala police cruiser. We've got a Federal aerodynamic light bar we've tooled up. We've got a different Code 3 light bar, as well as a very common light bar that was seen in Ontario in the 70s and 80s. It was made by, I believe, Dominion Automotive. We've tooled that up as well. Very common in Canada. Let's roll through these. There's the wagon. So we've tooled up the wagon version with the wire wheels. That's the Caprice Estate grille on there. Rear view, roof rack. And we've got the, it's still, like I said, a couple of things we have to clean up a bit, but we've got the flush mounting windows.
Memories of sitting in a trunk facing backwards in the seat
Oh, yeah.
on the floor.
Oh, I remember that. Anybody that grew up in the 70s, 80s, or 90s probably remembers riding in a wagon.
Our family had a sedan, and every summer we'd go from southern Indiana down to Lakeland, Florida. I don't know how many times I made that trip in that car.
They're great highway cruisers.
Yep.
Well, this is, again, this is the police Impala. We've actually tooled up a push bar as well, so that will be available as an option on some of the police cars. We're also doing a detail pack too, so anybody that wants any of our light bar versions, we've got spotlights, we've got push bars. We're offering that as a separate pack that you can buy as well. And there's the other light bar version. It's a Code 3 kind of 80s or 90s light bar version we've got there.
Those are going to come molded in color, right?
Yes, we're going to have different color variations. We can do clear, we can do blue, we can do red, and in terms of police vehicles, we're doing some kind of generic schemes to start with, but as we move on with doing future runs of this project, we'd really like to do some get some licenses to do a lot of the big agencies, both in Canada and the US, because these were everywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty much every agency. This was the big seller for police agencies all through the 80s and into the early 90s even. So they could be seen across North America.
Couple of movie scene pileups could come to mind.
Oh, absolutely. Pretty much any movie that was filmed in the 80s and 90s you'd see these cars.
Anybody looks at the white cruiser you've done, Hill Street Blues.
Oh yeah, Hill Street Blues cruiser. And yeah, actually on that note, if anyone knows any contacts at police licensing departments, just let us know.
Be inundated.
Yeah, well, can't hurt. Somewhere to start anyway. But yeah, that's the, let me just switch back to the other screen here. That's the tooling shots and all the different paint schemes. Now this is just, like I said, this is just the first release of paint schemes. We've heard already guys looking for some more maybe slick top police cars or lower trim line sedans. We have lots of different options we can do in the future. We could probably get several runs of these and never duplicate any colors or schemes. So as you can see, we've got 3 colors of the sedan, blue, green, and red. We've got 3 colors of the Woody wagon, yellow taxi. There's the Metro Police cruiser there. We've got kind of another generic blue and a black and white. We've also got a fire chief wagon. That's an Impala wagon with a different light bar on the top. We've actually found photos of some Amtrak cruisers. We've got a blue version there. Got CN Police and CN Maintenance away. So that's the different versions we're doing in this release. And like I said, just the first batch. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, this is, we were kind of talking about this earlier. This is the first vehicle. We're really interested in doing more vehicles going forward. So we'll see how this does. And maybe we'll have some more interesting stuff down the road. Pardon the pun. All right. So that's pretty much all our new announcements for this month. So maybe we should go into some questions. Let's see if I can pull this up here.
Good month.
Yeah, it's been a really good month. Just wait till next month too. More exciting stuff. This one's probably for Josh. How's production coming along on the F40s and the Comets, particularly for MBTA?
I'm guessing HO.
Sure, it doesn't actually say.
Okay.
Let's just say all of them.
So the HO F40s, those are in production. If I'm not mistaken, they're well along. The Comet cars, I think they were slightly delayed, but they have started production now. Yeah, I mean, everything's going ahead. No further delays that we're foreseeing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we see both of those in the fall.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, in terms of product arrivals, I think we talked about this in the newsletter. If you didn't see the newsletter this afternoon, so like I said before, the first batch of SW1200s has arrived. So the Southern Pacifics, what else we got in there? Milwaukee.
And Milwaukee, Southern Pacific, Rio Grande,
Mhm.
Northern.
Which one? Sorry.
Great Northern.
Oh yeah, the Great Northerns are in as well. So that's part of the first release, or first batch, sorry. The second batch, I think they're leaving the factory, if they haven't already left now. Are they leaving this week?
They're getting ready. They're really close.
Yeah, so the second batch will be like Chicago Northwestern, we've got Sioux Line, Burlington Northern, Mopac.
The other one that came in is the Missouri Pacific will be leaving.
They're leaving in the second batch.
Yeah.
So the second batch will probably be here towards the end of June, maybe early July, just as a rough guess. So all the schemes that we have in the first release will be arriving kind of between now and in the next 5 to 6 weeks. We've also got, like I mentioned before, we've got the HO New Look buses. They are on, I think they've landed before. I think I mentioned that already a couple times. They've landed in Canada, so we'll see those in a week or two. What else do we have coming pretty soon? Or what else we had to kind of ready to leave the factory?
We got a couple of surprise projects coming.
Yeah.
We'll catch some people off guard.
Yeah, got some surprises coming next month.
Yeah. So be sure to tune to the newsletter because it's going to be, once we announce them, they're available. So you got to get your orders in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's going to be it's going to be exciting anyways. See how fast they go. But we can't say what they are yet.
Pan.
Hmm?
It'll be a flash in the pan.
Yeah. But that's a couple new projects. I think they're leaving the factory soon, like next week or something. We'll see. But actually, let me bring up that schedule again. See if I missed anything here. Back on the website. I think that's everything that's left the factory, but a lot of other stuff. We do have a lot of stuff in production right now. So we've seen photos of the N scale via F40s. We've seen them already in develop or in production. Like we said before, the Comets are coming along. The N scale FP9s, I believe, are very early in production as well. We'll probably be seeing them late summer, maybe early fall, somewhere around there. This is a rough guess.
I think the Santa Fe reefers just went into tooling.
Oh yeah, Santa
Starting
Fe.
next week. Or so.
Yeah.
Our 56s.
Mhm.
So we should see a sample of those in not too long, probably about 2 months. One thing I could bring up here.
And I did hear we are getting samples soon for the RS18U and the RSC14.
Yeah, that's been a long time coming.
They're almost finished with them, they said.
Actually, we do have something else we can show, just some tooling shots. Not injected stuff yet, but pull it up here. 1 second. So the Turboliner,
Mhm.
that's the first tooling shot. So they're almost ready with that. We're hoping to have the first injection samples maybe arrive end of June, early July, somewhere around there. So that's really exciting. I know we've been working on this project for a long time. Josh has really taken the lead on that, getting it all put together and ready to go. So yeah, that's finally coming through. So probably have a video, show off some samples. Probably July, the latest. I'm going to say. I'd like to say anyway. So we'll see how that goes. And I think the other thing was I think we forgot about this one, the meat reefers, the wood meat reefers. I believe they're getting ready to leave the factory pretty soon.
Bill's favorite car.
Bill's favorite car? Why is it Bill's favorite car? Just because it's Bill's favorite car? He designs a lot of cars.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those should be leaving the factory pretty soon. So we'll probably see those in July. All right. Well, why don't I pull up some more questions? One sec here. Do you plan on doing any B units to go with the FP9s in N scale? Probably not right at the
Not
moment.
in the immediate future. It's been bounced around a couple of times.
Question about coal loads. Are they all going to be the same kind of coal load, or will we have a couple of different variations?
So for this car, they are molded in plastic, so it's all going to be the same shape. But that's possibly something to consider on future production runs, is to do one different per production. But at this time, it's still the same one. Just something we'd have to consider in the future.
I know Bill's talking about it on the GLA hopper. So
right, yeah, because
I think you might be on that, getting a couple of variations.
Because the coal load for the GLA hopper is not molded in plastic, right?
It's yet to be determined. We've seen samples of the live version sort of thing, but
okay,
don't know whether we're going with that yet.
All right. So yeah, but yeah, if this car were a live version car, they could be different. But you know, it's one of those things, you know, a mass produced car and the anticipated volume, just doing that many co-loads to be different, I don't think would be feasible, especially in tooling. So
Texture on that plastic load will look phenomenal.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
And they were all kind of, when they run through the mines, they're kind of auto filled anyway, so it's a pretty uniform structure of how they're loaded. Not like
Right.
in the older days when they would have just loaded them out of it.
Right. Now, the people in the comments are correct. I mean, there will be some undulation, and I've seen some trains that have a big divot, you know, 2/3
yeah.
of the way through
Absolutely.
the car, but typically they are pretty much all uniform because they've got that huge hood that comes down and is tapered and goes when the train goes through. So
There's one
But-
for Dan. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
no, I was just going to say you're right, though. They are pretty much all uniform these days. So
One for Dan. Compared to the first run, how easy will the RS18Us be able to disassemble?
We've told the RS18U. Well,
The RS18Us. We'll use in the 11s and
yeah, the U is brand new from the ground up. We did retool just about everything on the RS11 and the RS18s. They now have a plastic walkway frame and superstructure, much like a conventional locomotive. So it's going to be far easier to disassemble. The metal frame is more of a traditional underneath the shell type. So it's still got a lot of detail under there, so you have to be careful when you go to remove it, but it's a lot easier than before.
very similar to like how the B36 was assembled, for instance.
Yeah, very similar to that.
Any more buses we want to do in the future?
I mean, there's a lot of buses I'd love to do. The big challenge is there is another manufacturer out there that seems to put out a new bus every month or two. So it's really hard to keep ahead of that. I mean, there's always a chance. There's still at least one more body style we'd like to do on the new look. So here's hoping we can do something about that in the next year.
Mhm. Another question about the auto floods. Typically, what lanes would the private owner cars kind of go in, or which directions would they be headed if we have that kind of information?
What lanes?
Like what routes would they be typically going into, or is that too specifically? Cars?
That's not any type of research that I have done to develop the car, so that's not something I have offhand.
Mhm.
The only information I know of is some of those higher numbered CEFX cars, which we'll do in the future, that are leased to leased and on CN in the West. They're using them on coal loads towards Vancouver and that petroleum coke, and I think that goes to Prince Rupert. So
Yeah,
all through
Roberts
BC
Bank,
and Alberta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also another, I believe, a BNSF coal train that's coming up from Washington area up into Vancouver and dumping at coal at Roberts Bank.
Yeah.
So the BNSF cars may very well make it into Canada as well.
Cool.
Any chance for more HO scale vehicles? We kind of mentioned this a little bit before. We are interested in doing more vehicles, especially ones that are very common. Typically, you'll see a lot of European cars are very well represented. You have lots of everyday cars, sedans, hatchbacks. But in North America, typically you see muscle cars, Camaros, Mustangs, stuff like that. You don't see the kind of the general Fords and Chryslers and GMs and stuff like that. Just kind of the regular everyday vehicles, the stuff that's kind of boring. But that's when you're building a layout, you want to have a lot of stuff like that. So we are definitely interested in doing more. We've got a couple in mind already, so we'll see how that goes. Just a reminder, if you have any interesting questions, please fire some questions in the chat there. Just let us know. We can talk about that. We're running a bit dry right now. Got a lot of questions about can you make this or that, but
those aren't interesting questions.
They can be. They can be.
They're yes or no questions that we always seem to give neither answer for.
Exactly. Now that you're making an Auto Flood 3 coal hopper, does that mean the RDC4 is coming next?
What? How does that one relate to the other?
It doesn't.
I think we talked about that in most live
to pull the coal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if we haven't decided if we're doing that one yet. It's such an it's
Put it this way, Bill wants to do it badly.
Oh yeah. Does New Haven have them?
E&M had them. I don't know if New Haven had them.
I know CNO had them, and CN and CP both had them, but we're talking pretty low numbers there. So maybe just a couple more questions then, and then maybe we will. Well, we're almost 8 o'clock anyways. So. Any more freight cars we want to do in the future? Anything specific that we'd like to see? I guess we can't really say that.
Yes, just say yes.
Yes, yes. We do have a couple other cars we're working on, new toolings that we can't say anything about yet, but we will have a bunch of new stuff coming out over announced over the summer. So.
And more contemporary stuff. So the coal hopper isn't just a one-off contemporary item.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some really neat stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s that we've got on our list there. Also some neat diesels too. So that should be
GP20 tank cars should be soon.
Oh yeah, the HO ones. Have we seen photos of those yet at the factory, or are they still?
Not yet, but they've got to be getting close.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be able to send us some samples as soon as they're ready to go, so we can show those off. That's been a really successful project. Probably one of our most successful freight cars ever, I think, as Jason was saying.
Jason was very happy with the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it far exceeded expectations.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't let a silly old tank car beat my coal hopper. Come on, guys, order up.
Never.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how we've been doing things lately. We use we announce something, see how it sells, and then if Jason likes how it is, then that gives the green light for other.
Well, you know you're toast, Matt, when my next 3 come out.
And what are those 3?
He's right, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, but yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, yeah. Looks like we're scraping the bottom of the barrel with interesting questions there. We got one person wanting to see my dog, who's not actually, she's in the other room right now. So
I just saw a question go by. Someone asked if during all this we're still supporting repair requests, and the answer is yes.
mhm.
So just send an email through our website, and one of the warranty techs will get to you.
Maybe a little bit of delay with Robinoff having a baby.
Yeah, so Robin, our repair tech, just
Wife had a baby.
welcomed a new son this morning, a very healthy one. He's we're very happy for him, but he is off for a couple days. So if you don't get an email by tomorrow, just wait till early next week.
Yeah,
That'll
he
get
might
cleaned
be
up.
he might be lacking sleep for the next while. So if you get
Mhm.
your RS11 back looking like our April Fool's Day hodgepodge RS11s, that's not his fault.
Yes.
Or if you get an RS11 back and you didn't send in an RS11.
Keep
Yeah,
quiet.
exactly.
Keep quiet.
Have we had any news on the steam dummies? We seen anything from the factory on those yet?
Oh no, it's not what I've been working on. I think Bobby's handling that.
Yeah, Bobby's
Yeah,
handling that one.
Yeah.
Haven't heard anything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hey Matt, someone wants to know what you're working on in the background.
A layout?
That's just a window. I'm not working on anything.
Oh,
There's
all that
another
wood. I
window
think
where-
you're building a
The
layout
other-
there.
That's
The
just
other
a
way.
lamp.
Do you love lamp?
I love lamp.
A lava lamp?
2 lamps. Ooh. Yeah, it's layout modules. There's a third one in front of me. The room isn't long enough for them, but yeah, it's layout modules for or built to the specs of the Gulf Western Modular Society out of Corpus Christi, Texas. I've befriended them over the years traveling to shows. So that's the only reason it's built to those specs, but otherwise it's was supposed to be or it's going to be a coal flood loadout for the coal hopper that somebody just announced today. And I just
That's
coincidence.
why we made a coal hopper.
He needs them for his layout.
Hey, Jason.
see if that's how you get stuff done around here, okay?
No, it's you Photoshop everything into the turntable at Spadina.
Or onto the Kingston sub.
But
Yeah, one of these days we're going to do a layout operating session at Jason's layout, and it's just going to be Santa Fe and SP stuff and Penn Central from the 70s. That's all it's going to be.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, we can still run the turbo. We can run the Penn Central turbos.
You do that, I'll flood the Kingston sub with Action Red and watch him turn red.
Hey.
Yeah. What's the status on the Fruhoff trailers? Have they entered tooling yet?
they will probably enter tooling. What do you think, Dan, at the end of this month or next month?
I'd say maybe midsummer.
Okay.
We just did the final approval today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Still got to go through a few hoops yet.
But we're getting closer. So
Yep.
For sure.
we're at the stage now where we'll probably start finalizing artwork on it. So there should be some updated art coming in the future, sooner in the future. And then we'll keep everybody posted on the tooling status.
Any new stuff coming to the swag store in the near future?
Always. Just trying to manage that on top of product development drawings, sometimes swag store.
I see a coal hopper T-shirt in the future.
will you stop telling everybody my secrets? But yeah, there'll be new items uploaded to the swag store. Bobby's actually put out quite a few new designs for that. I just got to get them formatted and uploaded. So
Nice. We'll probably get that in the next couple weeks, probably, maybe before the end of the month.
yeah,
Got someone asking about E8s. So we're asking about 4316 and the other E8 units and the production schedule for those. So the E's are actually in tooling right now. I haven't seen any samples or injection photos yet, but kind of how we're going to work that is the Amtrak 4316s. We're going to get those out first. So they're going to, as soon as we get the tooling and we approve everything, those will go into production kind of as a separate shipment. So we'll get the Amtrak 4316s probably later this year, probably in the fall. Now that's just a rough estimate because we're gonna want to make sure that tooling is all good to go, of course. Everything's in the right place. But that's gonna come first, and then sometime later, probably early next year, just as a rough guess, we'll see the rest of the units coming along, all the other paint schemes. We just wanted to make sure that the 4316 arrived for Amtrak's 50th. Just so kind of lined up with that big event. You know. Another one for Dan. This is kind of maybe a bit of a loaded question, but what are the differences between GMD and EMD SW1200s?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
More like what's actually in common between them is more of might be easier.
Well, if you really want to get into it, the basic hood shapes are the same, minus the number board assemblies. Your cab profiles are the same, frames are the same, steps are different. Big things are exhaust stacks, fuel tanks, and all that. They're very much the same, but the Canadian ones were road unit specific, so they had the bigger number board assemblies and whatnot. But there's probably, say, there's more variation amongst the American units than there are the Canadian ones.
Here's a question specifically for Josh. Why do the low floor streetcars in Toronto ride so much worse than the CLRVs?
I wouldn't have any
Who built
knowledge on that. There's a couple of friends that still drive for TDC that have a more technical answer for that, but basically suspension, either lack thereof or just completely different. When you have a low floor car, you don't have a lot of space for suspension. They're also not light either. You know, this is like 45 tons going down a street. So.
True. We've got our kind of monthly question about BC Rail M420Ws. This is kind of along the lines of the SW1200. Is how much different are they to the CN units, and how much tooling would be required to make them accurate?
Make them accurate? Well, first off, I don't know what guy at MLW designed the BC Rail units, but he must have been dyslexic or drunk or something, because he inverted the truck spacing. The trucks on an M420 are not centered on the locomotive. There's a bigger gap at the front of the locomotive than there is at the back. And when they built the BC Rail ones, they turned it to the opposite end of the locomotive. So our chassis would have to be totally remade for that. Then it gets into the steps that were put on the BC Rail ones were similar to CN's, but BC Rail started to cut them off fairly early on and rebuild them. So we're into making a whole either two sill assemblies to do both versions of it. And I guess if you got right down to it, the hood and the cab are not that much different. It's mainly the frame would be where the money is, changing it.
Yeah, basically talking about new, pretty much new everything, new hoods. Is there even from the long hood, is there anything that carries over from the two?
Oh yeah, the dimensions of the hoods are the same and whatnot.
But like in terms of like grills and air filters and stuff like that.
No, the grill works a little different at the back. Radiators are different at the top.
Mhm.
Whatnot. It's all doable. It's whether or not we can see selling enough units to make the tooling changes.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the same thing for the P&W units. Because the P&W units ride on trade-in FA trucks, typical American Elco truck style, the bolsters are adjusted to fit that truck, which if we were to put it on our chassis from the CN units, they just wouldn't marry up. So again, that's why we didn't do the P&W units.
Will we be modifying the Rapido gondolas at any point in time to do wood chip cars?
Jason and I bounced that around several times.
I think if anything, it wouldn't be so much modifying, it would be an entirely new tooling.
Well, we've looked at it. It would be new side tooling because it's basically a flat kit, that thing. We would have to make new sides and ends, but we would reuse the floor and whatnot. But it does come up in meetings. I wouldn't say never, but it's not a priority at the moment.
Yeah, not on the front burner or anything like that.
No, they were somewhat regional use. You know, CP did use them, you know, in various parts of Canada, but they weren't one of those cars that you would see system wide.
No, same with the CN ones.
Yeah. In a lot of cases, you'd still be using rebuilt 40-foot box cars as wood chip cars.
Let's see what else we got here. Hey, Chris Fox, he's asking about the steam jennies again. Yeah, still nothing. We talked about that a couple minutes ago. It's in production, but just going along very slowly. So they're coming. Just might be a little bit down the road still. Let's see if we got any more questions here, and we'll probably wrap it up in a couple minutes. Let's see what we got. A lot of people asking for BC Rail M420s. If anything, that would be probably, I mean, we're talking hypothetically, of course, that would be a conditional release before any tooling is cut.
Oh, yeah, it would have to be.
Absolutely, yeah. We got a regular GP40TC question.
Yeah.
Someone's asking about undeck RS18Us. Did we announce? I think we already announced those, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. If you actually go on our website here, maybe I can bring this up. Not only the RS18Us, but the RSC14s, I believe, are both coming in undeck form. And I'd like to open it up, but our website's down again, so I guess we're not going to be doing that. But yeah, so we have the undecks announced. You can order them through your hobby store. You can order them through our website as well. We've always got the regular guys asking for G40TCs and SW1001s. Of course, Josh will like this. A lot of people saying the Bombardiers look really good, but they don't look like Metro bi-level gallery cars.
You're right. They were built by two totally different manufacturers, and they have two totally different profiles.
To me, they look the same. Let's see what the difference is.
Yeah, I don't know. They'll just paint those in Metro. You blow that up again for a second?
Now you got me thinking, Dan. Imagine those cars in fluted stainless steel.
I'm not painting it.
Yeah, it's just one color.
it's half the work of doing the N-scale bus. But no, that would be interesting as well. So I guess we're pretty much hitting the bottom of the barrel there. So it's about time we wrap it up. Maybe we'll answer 2 more questions and then we'll call it a night.
Make sure they're interesting questions.
Yeah, let's get some interesting questions here.
Who's going to win the Stanley Cup?
Actually, that
Not my team.
Yeah, okay. Someone asked me about 4316. What happened to it? It actually got renumbered several times. It was repainted after only like 6 months or something like that. It went into the red nose, this kind of standard phase 1 paint, and I think it had 2 or 3 numbers until I think it was retired around 80, 82, 83, something like that. I don't know where it went to after that. Probably was scrapped pretty quickly, like most of them were. But it did end up in phase one by about 70, probably by late 71, early 72. One last question, and I think that's about it. Let's get one more question. What have I got? I don't know. Do we have any opinions on the KCS CPCN soap opera?
Nope.
It will be interesting to see what happens with that.
Interesting to see how relations between CP and CN end up after
Yeah.
all this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Were they really that good to begin with?
Hey, they share each other's trackage in BC and Ontario, so
They tried to merge once. What was it, 30 years ago, something like that?
Both survived Hunter Harrison.
Yeah,
they each get a gold medal.
yeah, absolutely. Branch line's not so much, and hump yard is absolutely not. The giant gaping hole in the middle of Agincourt now. So
What was up with that inspection train that had the what was it, a Milwaukee Road passenger
That's
car?
no, it's a CP inspection train, but apparently the car CP normally uses for accommodations
Yeah.
is no longer roadworthy, so they're building a new one. So
Yeah.
they're leasing that.
Oh, they're leasing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
here's one last interesting question. What would a startup cost for a new mold or tooling be? Or what would you have to do to chip in to get something tooled?
Win the lottery.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. Depending on
It varies wildly depending on detail or if it's a locomotive or a car.
Yeah, a locomotive can easily go north of 6 figures US. And that's just for the tooling. That's not for any design related costs. You got to factor in design, artwork, all kinds of things, labor. So
That's just mold tooling too. That doesn't count
yeah.
decoration tooling.
Yeah, yeah.
Or materials or
Yep.
it's not cheap.
Yeah, and that's why projects take a while. Like even it can take 18 months, 2 years sometimes if it's really complicated to get a model to the market quite easily if it's got several different body styles.
how long did it take us to get this to the market? 4 years.
Something like that, 4 years. Well, a lot of that was because it got tied up in
Licensing.
in
Well,
licensing for Go, which we got settled.
I think it's a loaded question when you.
Actually, that reminds me. Before we kind of call it a night, F-59s. We have the order deadline for that and the bi-level cars, the Bombardier and the UTVC bi-levels. They're both coming next month, middle of June. So we're doing the final push now for F-59 sales. Most of the schemes are now safe. We're still a little bit short on the Metrolink, the early as delivered, and the ribbon scheme. The kind of the more well-known single stripe scheme, for lack of a better term, is safe already. We're still needing to get those other two schemes picked up a little bit, but everything else, Metra, AMT, Tri-Rail, or not Tri-Rail, Trinity, they're all safe. Go, of course, is safe. So we'll get those into that final order deadline next month. We'll begin production. We've got some videos coming up. Dan's working on the samples for the bi-levels right now. And in case anyone's wondering, yes, they do roll fantastically. We had a 6-car set on the test track at the office, and they just kept rolling away. They wouldn't stay still. I was actually trying to photograph them about 2 weeks ago in the office, and on the photo booth, and the car just starts rolling off every time. I couldn't get them to stay still for more than like 2 seconds. So,
yeah.
So that's going to be coming up pretty soon. All right. So I guess that's pretty much that. Yeah. So it's been a good live stream. Anything else you want to talk about before we call it a night? Don't all speak up at once. All right then. So I guess on that note, have a good night. Just keep posting your comments below. We'll have lots of new stuff coming out for new releases. We'll be posting over the next few days. And check out the newsletter and check out our videos. We've got some new videos that just went up this week. So have a good night. We'll see you later.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
Take
Good
care.
everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.